You know that feeling when someone finally sees you, really sees you, not who they assume you are, but who you actually are. And that changes everything. Today's guest, Marcella, knows this intimately. She spent years being invisible, a Colombian girl who didn't speak English, dismissed by teachers, mistaken for a nanny by other mums, but instead of staying small, she turned that pain into purpose. Now she runs Honour Sew, a thriving sewing school in Brixton, London, where adults and children don't just learn to thread needles, they learn they matter. And here's what blew me away by our conversation. Marcella apologises to the kids in her classes on behalf of the adults who never listened to them. In this conversation, you'll discover how to transform adversity into a business that truly serves, why slowing down actually accelerated Marcella's success, the difference between teaching a skill and creating a community, what makes a good teacher, and spoiler, it's not what you think, and why believing in yourself isn't optional, it's everything. This is one of the conversations that reminds you why you started your own thing in the first place. So grab a cuppa, settle in, and meet Marcella.
So
Of
really,
course.
it's just welcome Marcella to Successful AF. Thanks for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm very
I'm very
excited.
excited about this conversation. I've got notes coming out of my ears.
Amazing.
But tell us your story.
So I was born in Colombia, moved to London when I was 3 years old. I didn't have the easiest upbringing when I was younger because I was raised Colombian. I was raised speaking Spanish. So when I went into school, I didn't know English and I didn't get comfortable with the English language until I was in year 7. So even though I went to nursery, primary school and everything, I really struggled for those first few years. And then when I got into year 7, I found the confidence. So I wanted to answer all the questions. I knew everything. It was so exciting. But I was called teacher's pet, and that just went downhill very quick. Lost my voice. Also struggled with the teachers because I couldn't find the balance of do I speak or do I not speak? And the only way that I could communicate was through being creative. But obviously, you can't be that creative in every subject. So I was unfortunately one of my teachers, my geography teacher, decided to, in year 7, we had to bring volcanoes in. I went all out on my project. He put it to a side and said that I was disqualified basically from taking part in the lesson because I had clearly not done my homework. My parents had done my homework. Obviously, he
What?
didn't they didn't speak English, so there was no way my parents could have helped me anyway, and I think that set my journey even more. So obviously, I struggled with the language. I was picked on in year 7 very early on, and then my teacher also decided to pick on me, and I actually went very quiet at the beginning and, lost my confidence, and I went basically my young life with very little friendships. And then when I had my children, the small friendships I had, I then lost because they weren't having children at the same time I was. I got postnatal depression and everything became even more quiet and lonely. And that then drew me to sewing. So I had a go at sewing in school when I was in secondary school. It was only a short period, but I felt that I really enjoyed it. I also grew up watching my mum sew. She didn't have the ability to teach me because I've come to find out that teaching isn't for everybody. So I went down the sewing path of teaching myself. And eventually, once my children were older, I then decided to create a business teaching others how to sew. But it all came from that very lonely feeling to
Mm.
then creating a space and a community where people could feel like they were part of something in a group and just everything else. So yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at the moment, owning my own sewing school.
I think it takes a very special sort of person to take that adversity and that challenge and channel it into something so positive and not just for yourself. When we spoke, I was so moved, and we'll get into it, but like by how much care and attention you take to make sure that every single person, both adults and children in your lessons, are heard and they have a voice, and they're understood. And I think it's so easy to go in and be like, life isn't fair and it's really hard, and and sort of blame the universe because nothing that happened to you, like none of it was your fault, but you just took it and you're like, okay, right, how can I make this better for myself? And I
That's
think
it.
that's a really unique perspective, and not many people. I think it's a lot easier just to blame the world, isn't it?
Yeah. So growing up, I always remember saying to myself, only once I sat down and said to myself, I wonder why me? There's
Mm.
got to be like a bigger reason for it. And I think just that once. And then from that point, I chose to either continue to ask why me or make something of it. And now that I'm an adult, I can now look back and I would say to myself, God, I was put through so many experiences and challenges and just everything. And that's now brought me to where I am, where I'm working with adult and children. And I have no education because I pulled out of school after year 11. I tried college, but I just couldn't find my feet. I felt like I'd been put down so much that there just wasn't any point of trying. So, no education. So I feel like my life experiences have been my education to then bring me to where I am to be able to support basically everybody that I support, children and adults. Yeah, you've got the two choices. You either choose go down that path where you feel sorry for yourself all day, or you go down a path where you actually create something out of those experiences. And yeah, it's been challenging, but it's been very enjoyable.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I now have a question. I know lots of people ask you this, and you touched on it as well, that the fact that teaching isn't for everyone. How do you start teaching people, and what makes a good teacher?
It's quite I don't know. So when I started sewing, I knew I had this desire to help, and I had the desire to want to help, but I didn't have the confidence to believe in myself. And when I had my daughter, who's my firstborn, she's actually taught me more. And out of that experience, it's helped me to then teach. I remember like sitting her down and saying, let me teach you to sew. And it was really stressful. It's so hard to teach, but she reminded me that we don't have to be perfect. She basically taught me to teach. And I say it to her all the time, you might not know this, but you were a huge part of my life to get me to where I am. So she taught me patience. She taught me that if I was not kind, but if I chose my words in a better way, that she would deliver more. And that's how I basically built up on it, testing it on her.
It's
But yeah,
amazing.
yeah, it's a funny one. I don't know if teaching can be taught. It's not something that I went down. I didn't study to do this. I have
Mm.
literally just taken my life experiences to help me to teach. So it's I say the desire to want to help allows me to then be
Interesting.
able to teach. Yeah,
So that's such an, because there's so many bad teachers out there. I mean, you referenced one, right? You know, your geography
yeah,
teacher, your like, and what you've just said, the desire to want to help, because not all teachers have that.
no,
And
yeah.
maybe that's what differentiates a good teacher and a bad teacher.
Definitely. I was gonna say I've had a few conversations with children who have had similar experiences to myself, and it's really interesting to hear what they have to say about their teaching. And it's kind of sad to know that I experienced that so many years ago, and it still happens sometimes. But what I've taken from that is, like I said, not everybody has that ability to teach. But as an adult with what I've done now is that I apologize to the child on behalf of that adult and just say, we don't all have the ability to teach this certain age or this certain subject. Sometimes we get overwhelmed, we get frustrated. It's not an excuse, but just bear in mind it's not you. And that kind of like helps me. Again, I learn from my experience of teaching in my lesson, my children, and then I can take that forward. So having experiences has
Wow.
helped me to teach, yeah.
The kids who you come across, and the adults, but the kids
And the adult.
definitely
Yeah.
are very lucky, because I think it's very rare that as a child, you're apologized to by an adult?
Yes. Which is what I always found. So my experiences growing up, like I said, English wasn't my first language, so I found it really hard to communicate certain things. So I was always being put down. You're so angry, you don't understand, you don't try. But the adult wasn't listening to me.
Mm,
In the few words that I was saying, they weren't listening, but they were just so quick to blame my behavior as something negative.
mm.
And I've never had an adult apologize to me. And so I carried my traumas for a very long time. And I learned that I had to basically kind of forgive. So my way of giving back is I'm going to apologize on behalf of adults because it's really hard to apologize. And like I said, you carry that with you for so long. So if I can do my small bit of apologizing on behalf of somebody, it also teaches us young children to then apologize as well, because it
Mm.
helps us to understand what it feels like to be apologized to. Yeah. So,
That's so beautiful.
yeah.
And I'm really sorry that all those adults didn't listen.
Yeah. But it's helped me to get to where I am today.
I know, but I want to apologize
Yeah.
on behalf of them. So I am sorry that you had to go through that.
God, thank
And
you.
actually, given all the things you've achieved, I think you might have got there anyway, but we'll come to that.
Yeah.
Talking of which, actually, what does success mean to you?
I was gonna say, to me, success is being able to make a difference. Yeah, to be able to kind of obviously through teaching, successfully teaching somebody the skill of sewing, but just being able to make a difference in a bigger picture. Yeah,
Mm.
so it's to me, it's being able to get the message across, to teach, and to help people find their confidence. Yeah.
And has that definition changed as you've grown up or as you've built the business bigger and bigger, or has that always been your core, I guess, mantra?
It's funny because I don't think I ever saw success as being something for me. So I don't think I had a definition of success at the beginning, except for having a full-time job and staying in that job.
Mm.
Just making sure that I wasn't just sitting at home doing nothing. So that's not, yeah, my level of success was so minimal before. It was just kind of living and surviving. Whereas now success is something a lot bigger, and it's not I have to have a job, I have to have a family, and the success that everybody knows.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's definitely shifted, but definitely before I had no success wasn't for me. So I don't think I actually had a definition of success except for surviving.
Mm.
Whereas now I do actually have that definition because I do believe it's for me. So yeah,
I
did a
love
bit
that.
different.
Good. And success is definitely for you.
Yeah.
Um, Again, I'd love to know like what you would advise someone who is looking to start a business. 'Cause you said there, like, your definition is to make a difference. And I think there's something you can really tell when you interact with a business that is trying to do that rather than just trying to make money. But I'd love to hear your perspective.
Yeah, so I do get a lot of questions. So people see my growth as being very quick. I started my business just under 3 years ago. I was working at a fabric shop. I was getting a lot of questions where people were saying, I've got a really silly question. They'd ask a question, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm really enjoying answering these questions. So I decided to, while working at the fabric shop, move into trying to teach people to sew. And that very quickly picked up because I think we've gone into a generation where people want to do things with their hands. So basically, it's just finding the thing that you enjoy, find the
Mm.
thing that you enjoy, and then just put yourself out there and do it. Um, when I had this idea, I was told by a few people that it was a very silly idea and it was never going to make money. But I didn't want to make money. I just
Mhm.
wanted to help. And I think that's what's helped me to build the business. So if somebody out there wants to start a business in offering creative lessons, just go out there and do it. Don't listen to anybody. Don't think that you can't do it. because I went into this, I'm self-taught with sewing. I didn't obviously get the education. Everything that I've learned myself. When I went into the business, I didn't believe in my skill, but I don't think it's so much about the skill. I think it's about how you get the message across and how you teach the lesson. So just go out there and get yourself started. Start small, offering free lessons and just getting to know the community, because they will help you to grow. So just put yourself out there, talk to as many people as you can, and take it from there. And I think that could work in any business as well.
Mhm.
So yeah,
That
just
word of mouth piece and the community, I think something that I know you've built a huge community around Honor Sew. We haven't actually talked about the name of the business, which is Honor Sew.
so yeah.
On a sew, not honor. But you know, I think you've talked about the fact that people do want to do things with their hands these days, and also we're all quite lonely. You know, we're all for the
Yes.
most part sitting behind screens and interacting through screens, and actually bringing people together to do something that I guess like our forebearers might have done around a fire in a sort of tribe scenario, and you know, must be so rewarding, but also just something that's quite alien in our current society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, like I mentioned, I started this business out of loneliness.
Mm.
I had my children. I was at home all day. So I went down the rabbit hole of trying something. I was really scared it wasn't going to stick, because nothing I had tried I had enjoyed this much. Through sewing, I met friends that I have become so like special to me. So I went from, being completely by myself. Obviously, my husband's working. I'm at home with two babies. I don't really have adults that I can interact with, because I was going to baby classes. Nobody would talk to me because I was considered a young mum. So everyone would automatically assume that I was the nanny. And I don't know why they get
No.
different. Yeah. I remember I was taking my daughter to drama club. She'd been there for a whole year. And it was the first time someone spoke to me. And when she did, she said to me, "Oh, so how long have you been taking care of them?" Because I had my two children. And I was like, "They're both mine." And she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you were a nanny." And then she would speak to me a bit more from that day. And because I was desperate to have a conversation, I just took it all in, and I
Yeah, of
was just
course.
babbling nonstop, and it just felt so nice. But it helped me to understand why I was going to parks and clubs and no one was talking to me. And again, that experience, I was able to take it and say, "Do you know what? I'm going to create a community where everybody's welcomed, everybody can come and feel like they can have a conversation." And it's quite nice, because I get quite a lot of new mums who are looking to do something, but mostly just have a conversation. One thing that I focus on is that I keep my sewing lessons very small, because obviously big groups can feel very intimidating. And also, when you're in smaller groups, it kind of forces you to have those conversations. So I do it with the adults and I do it with the children. And you'd never know that, my first few years, up until I was in year 7, I barely spoke a word. I'd keep myself to myself, and I'd occasionally talk to the teachers, and that was it. And then to go from that to where I am now, where I do a lesson, I teach it for 2 hours, and I won't shut up, basically. I
Mm.
just keep on going and going. And yeah, it's helped me to help others. You go from loneliness, this is what you do. The amount of people that I get come to me as well and say to me, "Oh, I've seen your story that you basically had postnatal depression, loneliness. I've come because I feel the same way." And then you just see everyone just grow. And the sewing community is so kind. Anybody who wants to learn a craft and come to these lessons, they are so kind to each other. They help each other, even though they've come to learn. They're helping other people in the lessons. They're having conversations. They come back the following week and they say, "Oh, how did that date go? How did it's Yeah, it's really nice to be able to take something like that and then help grow a community, because we're becoming so lonely with screens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really love that. You found your voice and you shared it with everyone else.
Right? Yeah, it's really nice.
Amazing. We've talked a lot about barriers and challenges you've had to overcome. Is there anything else that you think has been a real challenge, even if it's just with setting up the business or anything really?
Yeah. I was at like with the experiences that I've had, my first barrier was my confidence and actually believing in myself, because I was always told, I was made to feel I couldn't do anything. I wasn't going to be anybody. I was told by other people who I was. And it took me a long time to realize actually that isn't who I am. This is who I am. So it's the kind of like the self-esteem, the confidence. Those I think were my biggest barriers. And then going into a business that I almost knew nothing about. I didn't know how to start a business. So finding that information, but yeah, just myself really, I think have been my biggest barrier in anything that I've done. So building myself up. Yeah.
And how did you do that? Like, was it small steps or was there like a light bulb moment? I know we talked before when you said, like, when your children were born, it was a real sort of turning point for you. But I'm really curious to hear a little bit more about that.
It was actually my husband. Oh,
Okay.
that get me emotional. Sorry.
It's all right.
Yeah, no, it was my husband. He saw what I couldn't see. And he would always say to me, "Oh, you're so creative." And I'm like, "You're like messing me around. I'm not." Oh, he just highlight little things about me, say, "I'm kind." And I'd be like, "I'm really not. I'm the meanest person around there," because that's what I'd been told. So he was the one who saw me before I saw myself. And then he helped me to see that.
Oh, it's real
Mhm.
love. Like they say, I can't remember who it says it, but like it's like the notion that like you need like flame protectors. So like, people who will hold your flame for you when you can't hold it for yourself. And
Yeah.
it sounds like he was really one of those. Very special.
Yeah,
Oh.
definitely. And that again has helped me, which is what I then go into do to my lessons, where mostly with children, and you see with that adults as well, where they come where you can see that they're lacking confidence. And it's really nice when you say to them, they'll come in and they'll say, "I'm not good at this. I can't do this. This isn't for me." And then just be able to say, "Well, actually, I can see this. And this is like, straight lines. Straight lines are really hard to do, but you've managed to stay on the line for like this amount of time." And just being able to highlight that for other people. So what my husband has taught me and done for me, I'm now able to do for others, which is really nice. But it was just having one person to believe in me that helped me to build my confidence. And he's always pushed me, and my children do the same as well. My children are very good at like saying to me, if I make something, like I like making trousers. I've made myself a pair of trousers. I'm not 100% sure on the fabric I've chosen. My daughter always comes in and says to me, "That's a really nice fabric. I like that. Oh, you can wear it with that jumper." And I'm like, "Oh, I didn't think of that. Yeah, no, you're right." Basically, my family, my husband and my children, mostly my daughter, who's the oldest, have really helped me to pick my confidence up. And actually, some of my customers as well. One of my very first customers, I remember she said something really kind to me. And I was just like, "Oh, my husband says it, but now a stranger has said it. Oh, that actually like confirms what he's been saying to me this whole time, because I don't listen to him. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But a stranger's come along, said the exact same thing, and I'm like, oh no, it's true." So just surrounding yourself with like really nice people that can just tell you the positive things that you were missing out before has really helped me to shift the way that I think about myself.
And then you're
Yeah.
now doing it for so many other people.
Yes, that was one of the reasons I went into it, was that just that one thing that was said to me made such an impact. Now, can I take that experience and help others as well? Yeah, it's not just sewing, it's so much more. I've
Oh.
always said, like, sewing's my therapy in so many ways, not only being able to, like, create things, use my mind, use my hands, but it allows you to talk, and, you end up sharing experiences that you've probably not spoken about to anybody, and it just builds that confidence up, which is really nice.
It's also,
Yeah.
I guess, because you're not looking at someone, like you're looking at you're sewing. And so actually it's easier to be a bit freer when you're not. It's like you can have a better conversation with someone when you're in the car or when you're walking than if you're sitting
Yeah.
opposite someone at a dinner table and they're like, so, and you're like, well, it's no, too much pressure. And you can almost take the pressure off and give your brain a bit of a break from the whatever is going on because you're busy focusing on something else and you're sort of able to kind of maybe work through some more emotions, I'd imagine.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And like I said, it works for adults and children. And who would have thought?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to hear your answer to this question. What advice would you give to your younger self?
To my younger self, it would be to listen to my own voice rather than listening to others.
Mm.
If I remember growing up and always saying to myself, I'm kind, I'm a nice person. But then somebody would come and say to me, oh, you didn't do that. Like, yeah, making me feel a different way. If I had listened to myself, because I have been saying it to myself for so long, I'd probably have achieved what I have sooner.
Mm.
And what I'm doing at the moment is good. I'm happy with where I am. I'm happy with the experiences that I've had. I just wish I'd been kinder to myself.
Yeah.
Mm.
And what permission do you want to give other people through your story?
To believe in yourself, just
Mm.
always believe in yourself. And even if you have an idea, you're not 100% sure, give it a go. And if it, for whatever reason, fails, you're learning, because making mistakes is so important. Without those mistakes, we would learn nothing. Yeah.
So
So
true. I think
permission. Yeah.
it's a privilege to fail
Yes,
because
because honestly, without it, you don't learn. The way that I got to where I did in my sewing journey was making I spent 3 years making mistakes. And I loved every single one of those mistakes, because now I take those mistakes and I go into my lesson and say, 10 years ago, I did this. And I'm telling you this so you don't go and do it. So without those mistakes, I would have learned nothing. But instead, I've learned more than I probably would have learned going to like school, university, or anything like that. So yeah, definitely mistakes are just a big part of everything.
yeah, and they're a badge of honor, right? Because it means you've tried. And then, the people who don't make mistakes are the ones who never put themselves out there, and that's not that fun.
No, and we don't need to be perfect in any way, shape, or form. And mistakes just make us who we are. And
Yes,
it's really nice. Yeah.
100%. I'd love to know, because I know you make a lot of garments. Like, what's your favorite thing you've ever sewn?
My favorite thing to sew are my trousers. I
Hmm.
love making trousers. I'm obsessed with like how different you can go into it. But I've made so many things over the year, and every person who sews will say, this is my favorite. And then next month you make something else and it's, no, this is my favorite. And it just kind of, y- I don't think there's a favorite. You can't have a favorite.
Is it like, if I just ask you the equivalent of like trying to choose between your children?
Yeah, exactly. The children always say, like the children who come to my lesson always say, "What's your favorite?" And I'm just like, I can't. Everyone and everything's my favorite for different reasons. I made my wedding dress, and that was a very beautiful experience, but it's not my favorite because I've made so many things. I can like my
Yeah,
trousers. I love my trousers, but yeah, they all hold different meanings to me.
amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. Marcella, are you ready for quickfire?
Yes, I've actually made a note because I'm so forgetful. So I'm trying to, yeah, go on. I'm ready. I
One word to describe your current relationship with success.
had to think real hard about this one and I landed on grounded.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. Your non-negotiable boundary that protects you from burnout.
Um, I had to learn this one the hard way, but I'm a bit of a people pleaser. But
Mm.
my new boundary is I can't oversubscribe anything. I can't, yeah. So not over fulfilling my schedule. If my calendar
Mm.
is full, we're done. I'm so sorry. It breaks my heart that I can't give you more options, but I've had to stop myself because I was doing too much. So
That's a
I
hard
guess
lesson.
saying no as well, I think is really important. Yeah, learning to say no.
Mm. Especially as a woman, I think. But
Yeah,
yeah, what does rest look like for you?
shutting down.
Okay.
So shutting down any thoughts of the business. So I have forced myself to take Thursdays off. And I always get this itch where I'm just like, just one email, one this, one. No, I've finally learned that I shut completely down to laptop and everything goes away. And I pull out my sewing machine and I sew. So if the children are at school, my husband's at work, I give myself permission to sew for a solid 4 hours. And that is actually so restful for me. It's allowing me to bring all my ideas out. And then obviously the usual spending time with the family, playing games with the kids, going out for a coffee with my husband, but it's just literally shutting down for one whole day.
I love that your respite from your business, which is about sewing, is sewing. I think that's so beautiful. And it just shows that you've really found your purpose.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of people say don't work with your hobby. And I've always been so conscious of that. But I've also come to realize that my maybe work doesn't feel like work because I enjoy talking about sewing and I enjoy teaching it. When I do have time off, I do sew. Plus, my customers inspire me all the time. Every time they make something, I immediately say, "Oh my goodness, I need that same jacket." And as soon as they've left the lesson, and if I've got some time, I start cutting everything out. And then Thursday comes and I've sewn it up in no time. Yeah, so sewing for me is really restful.
I love that. I do think I sometimes wonder if the people who say you should never work with your hobby are the people who really hate their jobs and are maybe just a bit envious of those who have worked with their hobby and absolutely love their jobs. But maybe that's just a little theory that I'm going to put out there.
Honestly, do you know what I think it is as well? It's the I don't think everyone knows or have learned how to set boundaries.
Mm,
Because when we overwork ourselves, we're not giving ourselves time then to do the hobby. Because I did go through a point where I was constantly working, and I mean, I'm still at that kind of point. I am getting better, but it's giving myself the rest, forcing myself to have a day off, which means I can actually sit down and enjoy the hobby.
yeah.
And I just don't think we give ourselves enough time to do both. So I think it's learning that. But working with your hobby, I think is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. You enjoy every day yeah, every day. Every day I'm talking about sewing. Every day I'm sewing. Yeah.
I love it. What's one thing, actually, this interesting following question, I've forgotten this one was in here. What one thing you wish more people knew about building a sustainable career?
One thing I want to say, you can take it slow.
Mm,
So you don't have to go into it where, like I say, you're working 24/7 to make it successful. You can take it slow. I started teaching lessons on the side and still working my part-time job, but I
mm,
never went through burnout. I was okay. I was being consistent. I was still allowing myself time, and I took it really slow. I started working 1 day a week teaching sewing, and then over time, when I felt comfortable with that lesson, I'd add another one in. And then it has, even though people tell me it's been quick, my growth, I consider it to be slow because I have taken my time to add something in. I'll do a whole term, and then next term I'll add something in. So it's just taking it slow. You don't have to rush. And if you do have two jobs, that's okay. That's how most of us start. I wasn't given money. It wasn't something that was just handed to me. I worked for it, but I took my time to do it. So you
yeah.
don't, because people always say to you, if you've not made it, I think, is it 3 years or something like that, then you're never going to make it. I don't think that's true. We all take our time however we want to. And if you want to take it slow and to extend that period to be successful, that's okay. Yeah.
Um, yeah. No time frame to success. What is the success metric that matters most to you right now?
The, okay. I think it's being able to do what I'm doing and still balancing my personal and family life. So
Yes.
I am there for my community, but I'm also there for my family,
Amazing.
and just, yeah, balancing both of those,
And finally, and this might be the same answer, what makes you feel most successful as a cook?
helping to know
Mm,
that I've actually taught somebody that if they've come back, that tells me they've enjoyed it. So whatever I'm doing it right. I think the fact when I started teaching children, and when they came back the following term, I was like, oh my God, okay, that's good. Then they came back again, and I've had some of these children for like the whole time I've been teaching, and that to me tells me that I've made it.
yeah,
People want to come back. They want to keep seeing me. They want to keep learning from me. That I'm done. I'd happily yeah. I'm gonna say walk away from it, but not walk away from it. I'm
yeah,
at a very good point, and I know that I've made it when people want to actually come back to the lesson.
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Marcella, how do we find you? For all those of us who are now incredibly inspired to come and learn how to sew, where are you?
That would be amazing. Remember, it's more than just sewing, but I
It's so
am
much
on
more.
yeah, I'm on Instagram, and it's on sew. It's basically the same everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, and the website's also honoursew.co.uk.
Brilliant. We will tag it all in the show notes. Well, thank
Thank
you so
you.
much. You've such a beautiful story. And yeah, I'm just in awe of how you really channel like everything that you needed as a child, you're just giving to all these children and adults as well. And I think it's, we talked before about adults need this as much as kids do. But I think often we're seen as like, oh, you're an adult now, you're a grown up, you should be able to do this yourself or sort it out. And actually, it's not true at all. Like we all need care, we all need kindness, and we all need to be heard. And I think what you're doing is just, as you say, so much more than sewing, but just such an incredible gift to the community that you're in.
Yeah, definitely. It's really funny because obviously I started focusing with children because that's where I found that all my problems almost started.
Mm.
But as I've been teaching more, I've come to realize that adults also need that help, support, and space, especially with everything being so digital. We're always on our phones or working from home. Sometimes we forget how to interact with other people. So to be able to offer a space that everybody has been, yeah, it's been so fun for me. And also, like I said, I went from being very lonely to having so many friends within my customers as well. Never would have thought that. Now I'm just like, oh my God, wow, I need more time to have all these conversations. So
I
it's
love
been
that.
lovely. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an honor to hear you tell your story. And yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much to my customer who also mentioned your podcast. I've listened to like all your episodes, and you do really learn a lot from everybody else. So thank you for what you're doing as well. Yeah, it's
Thanks.
really
If Marcella's story stirred something in you, that reminder that your struggles can become your superpower, I'd love to hear about it. Screenshot your favourite moment, tag me at successfulafpod or Marcella at honoursew on Instagram, and let us know what landed for you. And if you're building something that matters but feeling invisible doing it, remember what Marcella said. Start small, take your time, and focus on helping one person at a time. The community will build itself around that intention. We've got another incredible guest coming in a couple of weeks, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Until then, keep showing up, keep being kind to yourself, and remember, success looks like making a difference, not making it perfect. I'll see you next time on Successful AF.
neat.